welcome back to another Tech Minds video. Now, a few videos back I reviewed a 50 watt HF amplifier which appeared to be quite good but was lacking some features, namely and most importantly, filters. Well, this little 50 watt amplifier incorporates band filters and over temperature protection. Covering from 3.5 MHz up to 28.5 MHz, the micro PA-50 can deliver 50 watts from a 5 watt input. Now the 5 watts is absolutely maximum and you would not want to push it any further due to risking damaging the PA, according to the manufacturer. Now changing bands is also automatic, although there is an option through the menu to manually change bands. I'll demonstrate this later in the video. But if you do own an ICOM or Zygo radio, then they can interface directly with the amplifier through the accessory port to provide band switching from the radio itself. PTT is also performed via RF sensing, and we'll take a look at that when we test the amplifier. Now the front panel hosts a little display which shows forward power, SWR, current band selected and voltage input, along with a couple of other little interesting pieces of information. Now if you hold the function button in, the PA stage will be turned off, leaving the SWR and power meter still active. Incidentally, the power meter can show up to 150 watts of RF power when in bypass mode. Just hold the function button in again to turn the PA back on. Now tapping the function button 3 times quickly will manually change the band, cycling through each supported band every time you tap the function button 3 times. By tapping the function button 5 times quickly, we'll change the supported radio via the accessory port. Now this changes between Zygo and ICOM. Remember, this feature is only for radio controlled band selecting. By tapping the function button 6 times quickly, we'll change the power and SWR meter between RT and PH mode. Now PH mode is peak hold, which is far more useful, especially when using SSB. Now by tapping the function button 8 times quickly, we'll disable all protection of the amplifier, placing it into unlimited mode as they call it. High SWR and overpower protection will be disabled, which means there is more chance of damaging the amp if you have an issue, like a mismatched antenna. It would be best to leave this unlimited mode disabled for normal everyday use. Now when it comes to testing the amplifier, it was quickly observed that having an RF input of 5 watts or even 4 watts on CW, the amplifier's protection kicked in, resulting in an alarm sounding and the RF output disabled. Now this happens on all supported bands, but what this means is that the micro PA-50 will be a perfect match for extreme QRP radios. In fact, to perform the test using my TS2000, which has the lowest output of 5 watts on HF, I had to use a 10 dB attenuator between the output of the radio and the input of the amp. Otherwise, the alarm would sound all the time and cut the power. Of course, I was testing with CW, so it was pushing it to the max. But this led me to have issues with performing power tests due to not having a radio with a lower controllable RF output. But as you can see on this test, with just a mere 2 watts RF power in on 80 meters, we were seeing an output of around 40 watts. So yet again, perfect for QRP radios like the FT817 or 818, which has a controllable RF power between 1 and 5 watts. The output power between all of the bands was pretty much the same, so I won't bore you with showing you all the different bands. Now the micro PA-50 also has a cooling fan built in, and it's triggered pretty much every time you transmit. Luckily though, it's not very loud, so shouldn't interrupt any QSOs that you might have. In fact, it's nice to see an important feature like this on this amplifier. Testing 1 2 3 4 5. Testing 1 2 3 4 5. Testing 1 2 3. Test. That was with the processor on. Testing 1 2 3 4 5. 1 2 3 4 5. 1 2 3 4. So as you can see here, the automatic protection will kick in when the output power reaches around 56 watts or if the SWR goes above 2. Of course, when using SSB voice, you may only peak above those levels for a split second. So in that instance, you could potentially disable the protection or simply bring your input power down. Now, if you're interested in seeing this amp used on air, then let me know down in the comments. I'll charge my portable battery and test it out in the field, maybe with the Q900 or a USDX radio. Now, I'll leave a link in the description if you fancy getting yourself a cheap little 50 watt HF amplifier, which in my opinion is quite feature rich, especially with the inbuilt filtering and protection. Until the next video, stay safe, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.